another video on faffing around with butter and butter substitutes. So I've been faffing around with the fat from cheese and turning it into butter, and because I got the idea from turning ghee back into butter. It's a bigger story, and when I worked in a restaurant, we used to coat a chicken liver parfait in a clarified butter that we turned back into butter, kind of separated out the way from it. So it kind of led me on this path of faffing around with things, and then I've also kind of used different fats in cakes instead of butter. So I use like chicken fat and I use a lard in a cake as well, and they worked out kind of quite nice and kind of quite well. And then so I made these and then I've made butter out of the fat that I've kind of extracted from cheese as well, which is really delicious. So my thoughts now is, let's have a go at turning lard into a butter. The part of the UK where I'm from, we have something called mucky fat, and it's the fat from the roasting joint that then solidifies if you don't use it on your roast potatoes, and it turns into like a solidifies, turns solid, and then there's kind of like the meat gravy at the bottom as well, and you mix it up and you spread it on toast. It's delicious. It's delicious. So we're kind of thinking that type of thing. If you get like a delicious lard, then we should be able to turn it into a butter. So butter isn't a solid fat. Butter is for every 100 grams worth of butter that you buy, there is 80 grams worth of like clarified butter in it, and then 20 grams worth of liquid in it. So in this pan I have, and this is the lard I'm using, it's a particularly delicious lard that I've made myself. So in this pan I have melted 80 grams worth of butter and poured in 20 grams worth of liquid, and what we're going to do is I've just melted it so it's not solid, which is that's why you melt things. And then let's need to put that somewhere safe, and then pour it into that container, and then what we're going to do, put it on in a bowl, and then on some peas. Could use ice, but the ice in my house gets used in cocktails. We don't use it for things like this. So bag of peas underneath, just to kind of cool the bowl and the fat that we're going to kind of solidify. And then what we need to do, as it cools and solidifies, we need to whip it, which will take about 5 or 10 minutes. So beaters in, and I'll kind of we'll start off, but I won't do it for the full 5 minutes because you don't need to see that. And then you'll see that it'll whip into a butter, and then we'll give it a taste and we'll see how it is. But I think it'd be nice because that fat, that lard, is delicious. So beaters in, and just kind of do that. So what will happen is that is it homogenise? I forget the word. So what will happen is, as the fat cools, it will emulsify. There we go. So we're kind of making think of it like a mayonnaise type of thing. So the fat and the liquid in there will mix, and it will, I've forgotten that word again. No, not homogenise. Emulsify. There we go. So as it cools, so it'll take about 5 minutes. You just whisk it, keep it moving around, and then everything should be nice and whipped and delicious. Oh, we need to put some salt in as well. Just a little bit of salt, because we like salty butter. So, and the lard's a little bit salty. So, but just that extra bit of salt just to make it more delicious. So I'll pause while I'll start, and then I'll pause, and then I'll be back when it's almost ready. So you can't really see, but it started to thicken up. Right, so that means it's emulsified, and so we just need to carry on so it whips it so it gets a better texture. Right, so it has whipped up like that. It's soft, but the lard was soft to start off with, so it's not like the so let's have a look. So I'll show you. So the ghee is quite solid, so that's quite solid, whereas not at room temperature because they both have come out of the fridge, but that's, you can stick your finger in the lard, and it's kind of quite soft when it's come out of the fridge. But that's lard in general, whereas the oh no, it's not so, well, it is It is softened down, but generally, I've got things all over my fingers now. Generally, ghee is harder at when it's come out of the fridge. So it's soft. I think it probably would benefit from being in the fridge. We're also we're in summer now, so it's a little bit warm in the house anyway. So I will make some toast, and then we'll give that a go, and we'll see how it tastes. It's nice. It's nice, but we'll make some toast and we'll see how it is. Right, let's give this a taste. So I have noticed that I don't know if you'll be able to see because my camera won't, well, the phone won't focus. But it's not completely smooth. We've got some little bits of water that didn't completely combine into that. It's kind of wanting to almost kind of split out. So there's some globules of water, but I'm not that bothered about that. I think maybe actually what you could do is you could just not add the water, but you could just whip up the lard. But anyway, it's firmed up a little bit. So it's now just like soft butter. So, but as you can see, there's just those. Well, you might be able to see. Just some little bits of water, like just there. If that'll move. But anyway, let's give it a taste because I'm curious. Spreads well. Now, people kind of go, "Ew, lard on bread," or "Ew, mucky fat from the roast dinner." But you know, you're missing out. That's the only answer to it. You know, there's so much flavour in the fat, and you're missing out if you're not eating the fat. If I'm honest. So you can go, "Ew, that's disgusting," but I go, aren't you a bit boring for not eating the fat? Anyway, and fat's not as bad for you as we once thought. So how does this taste without it dripping all down my chin? That's lovely. So it tastes like it really kind of tastes like a roast dinner. I don't know, put a little bit more salt on. Just a little bit. But it tastes like it's got that meatiness to it. And savoury kind of flavour. That's delicious. And it's that's nicer than mucky fat is that. So maybe maybe that's another idea. There's butchers in a town near me. They're quite traditional butchers, and they make they sell tripe and all kinds of different things which most people kind of don't eat these days in the UK. But what they do with their mucky fat is they mix in the like meat jelly from the bottom. So it's more of a butter type of thing. I suppose that's probably where I got the idea from. I just wanted to make mine a little bit more refined. And I don't know if they'll do a ratio of 80 grams worth of fat to 20 grams worth of the meat jelly. I don't know if they'll do that kind of ratio, so it's a bit like a butter. It is nice, is their mucky fat, and people love it around here, or people who are into mucky fat love it around here. But I might just have another go at this with the meat juices from the bottom, because we have got some meat juices from the bottom. I'll put the jar away, but in the container away, because in the bottom of the container there is a little bit of meat stock. So I might just have a faff around with that at some other point. But that's delicious. I don't know what practical applications there are for it. I think it's delicious and not that dissimilar from eating lardo, the Italian cured back fat from a pig. So not that dissimilar from lardo. So what can we call it? Yorkshire lardo? But that's not really a proper description. That's loads of fat on there, isn't it? But I come from a family who like a little bit of toast with their butter. So that's delicious. It works, not 100%, but it works and it's delicious. So and if it's delicious, it's a success.